hope you all enjoyed the Ideas Lab workshops that we've just come off of. As you know, that's exactly the sort of thing that's really perfect for us being back together, the opportunity to really brainstorm, workshop, be creative and innovative, problem solve together. But we really wanted to capture some of that, the output from each Ideas Labs, and share it with the wider group. So we're going to do some quick succession mini interviews with some of the leaders from those Ideas Labs so that everyone else can capture that. And we're also recording this, so when the conference on-demand content is available, we can share it more widely. As you know, we had 4 Ideas Labs focusing on telematics, focusing on final mile visibility, focusing on vehicle processing, and on car haulers. So let's start. We're going to start with, at least, as I put it, at least one of the top 4 Ideas Labs leaders of the session, and that was Dennis Manns, executive leader at North Motors Group. Dennis led on our Ideas Lab looking at connecting the dots and vehicle telematics. So Dennis, I'm just going to ask you to, we'll do it on mic. Why don't you step on stage really quick? Yeah, just step on stage. Yeah, don't think the wine. There you go. So Dennis, why don't you first tell us just a little bit about who is attending your Ideas Lab?
We got this on?
Yep.
There we go. Okay, we had a great group. We had a diverse group of subject matter experts. We had the railroad there. We had car haulers there, several different system providers. The one gentleman from the Great Wall Chinese auto company, which is with us this week. And so it's a good, diverse group of contributors. So.
Great. And then what would you identify? Obviously, connecting the dots, we wanted to look at opportunities around things like telematics. What were the kind of key challenges which was identified?
Well, the tremendous interest in the telematics capabilities, obviously, because everybody in here wants more and more information and clarity of everything we all do. Frankly, from an industry standpoint, from the OEM standpoint, we still have a little bit of space and time before that's readily available throughout the network. So, but the discussion focused on what it would provide us individually from all these different suppliers, and obviously the expectation is huge.
So let's talk about a concrete next step or solution, to move to some next stage, which when we do this event in 5 or 6 months, we can check in on and see where we are.
Well, I think from a technology standpoint, one of the things that's brought up is there needs to be commonality across the telematics, which makes it easier for the supplier base to plug and unplug from the information provided. So you're going to have a much more robust information shared throughout the industry. So that's one of the huge things that came through the dialogue. Frankly, we're at the mercy of some product rollouts. And, we kind of discussed some of the products that are going to be introduced over the next several months. And so you do have that wave of telematics being opened up throughout the industry. But to go from top to bottom, we're going to have a little bit of period of time before that's complete. So.
Interesting. Okay, so some things we're waiting on from an industry side, but definitely a lot of opportunity. Dennis, thanks for sharing that. Dennis is going to be on stage with us tomorrow for a great session on railroads, and we have the president of Kansas City Southern, an interview with that. So looking forward to that tomorrow and having you back. Thanks a lot. Let's move on to our Ideas Lab on final mile visibility. Can I ask Brian Hook from ICL to come and join us? Get another mic here.
I don't have to use Dennis's mic.
No, we have to make sure you don't get Dennis's cooties.
Good.
Can you tell us, I don't know if he's been vaccinated against cooties, so we have to manage that.
I do have my card.
Tell us a little bit about the demographics. Who joined your Ideas Lab?
Sure. We had a good discussion, and we were, as Dennis mentioned, we were a pretty diverse group as well. We had input on the OEM side from Mercedes, from Ford, and from Honda. And then on the carrier side, we have a number of carriers in the session that could provide their input as well. So I thought we had a good cross section, saw both sides of the fence there.
So final mile visibility, OEM LSP collaboration was our title. What were some of the critical challenges that were identified during the discussion?
Well, I think that, after we all agreed that a comparison to the Amazon supply chain is not necessarily a fair one for our industry, although it doesn't matter to the consumer, right? The consumer wants to know where their car is and when they're going to get it. We said final mile visibility is important, but maybe even more important is giving visibility to the dealer throughout the supply chain and giving them a good and reliable ETA that they can count on. In terms of the actual, how do you do that? We talked a lot about ETA windows and giving the dealer a larger window at the time that the vehicle ships, and then shrinking as it gets closer to the dealership. And then also we focus in on the dwell component of the supply chain, because that's probably where the most variability is. And in trying to provide better information to the carriers in terms of building their loads, if a carrier has 2 cars to go to a faraway dealer, what information can the carrier be provided that says, hey, these two vehicles that are on rail cars are going to be unloaded on X date at X time, so that they can better plan their shipments and communicate that to the dealers and any system that's calculating an ETA. And so we also talked about trying to smooth the flows out, and then really just using the best information that's available. If a carrier can provide an ETA to a system that can use, we should consume it, we should use it. That goes for rail, that goes for processing companies and truck carriers as well.
So in a word, what are the next key action points to take in resolving the problem?
I think just to continue the communication with the carriers and the OEMs and the facilities in terms of trying to reduce the variability in that dwell. One other kind of key point that was brought up and that has worked well in the past is really trying to build and release cars in batches for faraway dealers. Really, it was felt that dealers that are high volume in the metropolitan areas, the ETA is not as big of a concern because there's a lot of volume, a lot of flow going to those dealers. But the dealers that are located in the Montanas and the Idahos and the South Dakotas, if we can build and release those vehicles in batches so that a carrier can have a full load consistently, reliably, then those ETAs will improve as well.
Excellent, Brian, thank you for sharing. This is a topic that we're talking a lot about at this event, and in the session just following this one, we're going to go deeper as well. So thanks very much for leading that Ideas Lab. Okay. Next up, I'd like to ask Jethro Felton from Cognosis. Jethro led the Ideas Lab looking at vehicle processing. Welcome, Jethro. There you go.
Thanks, Chris.
Why don't you start up again telling us a little bit about who joined your Ideas Lab?
Yeah, so it was a very diverse group. We had ports, so port authorities, we had VPCs, we had transportation, as well as OEMs. So great exchange of ideas. It was a real test for a guy my age to be able to hear in a room this big. But yeah, it was great.
Okay, so besides the hearing, what were some of the really key challenges that came out of this session?
So the challenges others had were, of course, labor. We kind of netted it down to 3.
Yeah.
Labor and the ability to attract and keep people on your teams by having different kind of work environments, more flexibility. Of course, wages were taken into account, career development, things like that. Visibility, and it was kind of, you got to get out of the old and get into the new. Some of it is people are resting in their comfort zones a little bit with older technologies, and the fact that OEMs are requiring their partners to provide more real-time visibility, more optimization in their operations, weighs into that and is critically important. And then finally, just what KPIs are being tracked. So pretty simple ones were the velocity, throughput, and then tracking productivity of employees, productivity across the entire operation, and then safety and employee productivity in order to provide additional training to improve the efficiency in these operations.
So although there's lots of technology coming into this, it seems like a lot of focus on the human aspect, the people aspect. So let's talk just a bit about what you see as some of the key action points to really optimize these processes.
Yeah, well, that's what I tried to give you was we came up with everything except how to reduce the chip shortage, unfortunately. But yeah, so it's really coming up with new, fresh ideas for retention of employees, in employing newer technologies to give better visibility. That's from the time a vehicle exits the plant till the time it's in a customer's hands, and then measure the right metrics to ensure that value is being delivered across the entire supply chain.
Wonderful. Well, just again, a topic that is dear to many people here. We're going to carry on talking through that. We'll try and fix the chip crisis and turn up the volume next time as well.
Thank you. No, I'll get hearing aids by then.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Jethro. Okay, and our final ideas lab, certainly last but not least, which was in the other room. Who wants to be a call hauler? I believe Joe Haney from Accelerated is going to come up. I love what you did with your hair compared to when we had you up there on screen.
Yeah, I did get a haircut. Didn't notice.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about who was there, Joe, and I think you had some interesting formats as well.
Honestly, we had just the best group. I mean, we could possibly have. We had a brain trust group on the other side of the wall. If you guys didn't hear it, we had some great input. We did solve the chip issue over there, so if you failed to attend, I'm sorry. It's kind of this enclosed secret. But really what we want to do is keep it a little lighthearted, but give you guys real-world situations of the car haulers out there, why we're in the situation we are, what the drivers are doing out there. We all know there's a truck driver shortage. You hear it every day on the news. Well, multiply that by 5 or 10 when it comes to car haulers because we're specialized, right? So that was kind of the focus, and we brought up the real-world situations. Like I said, my esteemed colleagues and the input we had was outstanding. It was fun, and we enjoyed our time up there the whole time. So
great. So you want to give us a couple of examples of some of those inputs that maybe will help address those challenges?
So I'm just looking out at the audience right now because the guys that were attended, there's a bunch of smiles out there. So we dealt with everything from COVID. We dealt with supply chain issues. We dealt with, I don't know how to say this one. What? Dirty cars, hell, weather, drug test. Fewer hours. Yeah, drug tests that ended up being somebody being pregnant when they got figured out. So we dealt with a lot of different things.
He was really surprised when
well, you're right, he was. And he still might be. We can ask him. He's in the room. But no, it was awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. So what do you see as? I mean, again, you've covered the huge range of topics. I think it sounds like a mini conference within there itself. What are some of the key next steps coming out of that? And did you give away any signing bonuses?
Yeah, we actually did give a few signing bonuses away, but we won't divulge what it was. So. So I think some of the key elements is honestly we need to do things that are going to bring back the car hauler into the industry. When I walked in, I kind of gave you my background. I was actually from the aviation industry when I got into car hauling. So the difference between now and then, a lot of people are like, what is that? You're crazy. You were a commercial pilot and went and jumped in a truck. Well, that's the difference between now and then, right? I mean, I was, flying a Beech 1900. My brother, some of you know who he is. I won't say his name because I don't want you to hold it against me. But anyway, he was driving a truck and he was making 3 times as much money as I was, And so I ended up jumping in a truck, and that's real world. So it's not just that though. There's a lot of, at the end of the day, everybody kind of weighs the risk reward, and that's what's happening. Being away from your home. People have alluded to the Amazon. Amazon doesn't care if you scratch a box. You're gonna get a paycheck anyways. Well, these guys scratch a car, they don't get a paycheck. So those are the kind of things that we're talking about. Just fair practices, things that happen in our industry to kind of bring guys back and what we can do to better attract them.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. Looking forward to talking more about it. Thank you, Joe, and thanks to everyone who participated.